Our next step is going to be to add a face. So go ahead and look at different faces that you like and decide how you want your pumpkin to look and decide what side your face is going to go on. I'm just going to use a pencil to draw on my actual pumpkin. And I like to make little marks so that I know where center is going to be of the eyes and how far apart I want the mouth. So if I know that I want my eyes here, sometimes I kind of place my fingers here. I know that I think I want that to be the center, and you can actually make little indentions with your hand if you want it to just be a basic triangle. So don't press too hard, because if you want to change it at some point, you can still just kind of smear it out. If you press really hard, it's gonna be hard to change. So right now when I look at it, I feel like mine are too far apart, so I would just wipe it down like this. You might want to use a wet sponge again, and then I would make them a little bit closer together. So it's just like your eraser. Okay, once I've got my eyes on there, so I'll carve these out later, and then I want a mouth. So I want my mouth to be kind of equal across the face, so I know if I use the corner of the eyes as a marking point, I can just kind of separate. I can maybe go out 1 inch and make a dot, go another inch and make a dot, and I'll say that's the bottom where I want my mouth, and that's, you can just kind of trace, like connect your dots. So that's gonna be the bottom. I don't know how I want his teeth yet, but from there you can start to add your teeth in whatever shape that you want. So decide how you want yours designed. Once you've got your face drawn out, I want you to use your ribbon carving tool, and you can go ahead and start carving out some of your clay. So you want to carve all the way to the center of your sphere. And so you just kind of press down into the clay, and it gives you these little scoops, and you want to work slowly. So you're just carving it out, scooping it out. You also might have Play-Doh tools, like Play-Doh carving tools, or actual pumpkin carving tools. Any of those work fine too. You might want to use a toothpick at some point, like if you're drawing a picture or trying to carve something out on your clay. Any of those work really well. So I'm just going to be really careful. If that side's too large, switch to your smaller side for more detailed space. And I'm kind of just carving, like pressing into the pencil line, and then I'm dragging towards the middle so that I can carve out little scoops. Again, you want to work really slowly because you want it to be really neat. If we were in the classroom, you might use something called a fettling knife, which is just another carving tool. It is just kind of like a little thin knife. And if you have something like that at home and you safely can use that, then go for it, as long as the rest of your house agrees that that's okay. My pumpkin, there we go. Seems like it's a little thick, but it's okay. So I've finally kind of reached the center, and I want to carve it out. Ta-da! So it's going to be kind of rough and messy on the inside, but remember, we're going to cut out a 2-inch circle down here at the bottom, so you're going to be able to smooth it out in the inside if you really want to. Okay, I've carved out one eye, and then I'm going to go in with, you can use a pen or something like this, or I've got a watercolor brush, and I want to straighten out these lines, so I'm just going to drag the watercolor brush along the sides of my triangle just to smooth it out some. Remember, the more holes that you have cut out, the more light's going to shine through. But also, if you have tons of spaces cut out of your pumpkin, it's going to become a little bit weaker. So keep all that in mind. If you're working on teeth, one thing that I found to be really helpful was I want to use the larger end of my ribbing tool. And if you just hold the curved side down along the pencil line that you've marked, press in, and then just drag straight down towards the bottom half of the mouth, and then kind of pull it away. Then you've kind of already started some really nice even teeth for your jack-o'-lantern. So I'll do one more on this side, drag straight down. Okay, and then I can go in and carve out some more along the bottom. So I think I want my teeth to come down to about right here. So just kind of slowly carve it out. Also, it's gonna, if you have a lot of separation here, hold the bottom. So I'm holding with my thumb as I carve down so that I don't separate the pumpkin completely and so that I don't lose the shape. Right now he's looking especially creepy. Hold it with your thumb, scoop it out. And so now I can go along. I know I want all of this carved away. I always try to remove whatever's on my ribbing tool so that it doesn't affect my next cut. So you're just really slowly trying to carve out all your pieces. Okay, so I've been carving for quite a while here and I wanted to show you progress. This is why it's so important to make sure that your clay is not too thick. I think that I have some areas that are more than 1/4 of an inch thick, more like 1/2 an inch, maybe even a little bit more in some areas thick. And for that reason, it's taking me so long to get to the middle. I don't want you to press down really hard to get to the middle because you'll collapse his face in. So you're just scooping, dropping the clay down, scooping, scooping. So I finally started to reach the center here. Sometimes I just push the clay right through to the middle and I know that I can get that out later. But where I have clay cut away now, it's even more sensitive for me to push in. So I've laid a towel down. So I've rolled a towel up to where it's pretty fluffy and soft so that way I can lay my piece down and it's not gonna smush down the back of my pumpkin. And if I feel like it's really weak, if your eyes are large enough, you can put a finger inside of one of his eyes and kind of hold it there to balance or to resist your clay tool as you carve it away. That way, when you're carving, you don't just squish the whole face down. You don't want his mouth to look sunken in. It'll look like he has little pumpkin dentures. So try to be so slow. Use a towel, use your hand, whatever you can to balance it out. And yeah, keep carving away till you reach the middle. All right, I've got it pretty close to where I want it. I do wish that this was a little smoother. Maybe this was cut in a little bit more. And then I need some of these areas to be smoothed out just a little bit. But I'm gonna wait for it to become a little more leather hard. Remember, right now it's more plastic. Once it's more leather hard, I can go in and smooth some things without the clay moving as much. And I could even use the sponge again here in a minute, and that's kind of how I will smooth everything out and get it just exactly as I want it. Your next step is going to be to find something that's about 2 inches across, and it needs to be round, so it needs to be larger than 1/4. Okay, so I happen to have a cookie cutter that's round. It's about 2 inches. And so I'm gonna use this, but I also found a paper towel roll, which is really similar. So if you just have a paper towel roll, or toilet paper roll, just use that to make an impression along the bottom. So I'm gonna hold mine really carefully, and then on the bottom, use whatever you found, and you're just gonna kind of press in. You're not gonna cut it out, but you're gonna press it in there like that, just to make the impression so that you can carve out the middle. You're gonna use a tea light from your house to put inside of here to sit it on top. So if you have a tea light somewhere too, you could find that and just trace around that. One of your ribbing tools to start to carve out the middle. I like to just carve out in a circle, hold the pumpkin stable. Make sure that your circle is big enough. It would really stink to make this whole thing, and then you wouldn't be able to put a light inside because your circle's not big enough. So make sure it's at least 2 inches. A little bigger is okay, and really as long as it's not really big, like, and gonna break your pumpkin, any kind of large circle at the bottom, it's gonna be just fine. As long as it still sits on the table. You could even eyeball a circle if you feel pretty bold. But you're just gonna carve out to the middle. once you have your hole, you can kind of feel around and get any little pieces that maybe you would push through, or kind of shake your pumpkin so that they fall through to the bottom. You can also kind of see the profile. So if you feel like the face is messed up at all, it needs to be pressed in, or maybe the jaw down here needs to come out, look at the profile and kind of adjust. You can smooth out any edges that you might have on the inside of the mouth too, if you have any little flaky areas. And down here, if you've carved it out just recently, go ahead and smooth down that opening, because it will become razor sharp if you just fire it as is. So you can use your finger just to kind of tap down the corner, or you can just try to smooth it out like this. You could also get your damp sponge and kind of swipe across this way. And there we go.